I call the honourable member, Rino Terakatene. Tēnā koe.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker. Tēnā koutou e ngā rangatira o Ngāti Tapu, me ngai tamarā waho. Tēnā koutou. Ngā rangatira o tauranga moana, nau mai hara mai ki te whare pāramata e takatū nei. He rā whakahira, he rā hari koa. Nō reira, huri no e te whare tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Oh, Mr. Speaker, I'm delighted to be speaking at this third reading of this bill. Sir, as I've mentioned in earlier contributions, this bill is a beautiful piece of reverse engineering, or reverse privatisation as I call it, whereby we are returning lands back to the tangata whenua, back to the original hapu. And it is, it's a historic day. I have to truncate my speech somewhat today, but sir, but the sincerity is there, and I'd like to acknowledge our rangatira that have travelled all the way down, who have been the stalwart trustees that have been involved in holding the fort for the New Zealand Mission Trust and soon to be vested in the Otamataha Trust. So, sir, there's a long history to this bill. It goes back about 176 years, way back to when the land at Otamataha, the Te Papa Peninsula, was acquired by the Church Mission Society and the Reverend Brown. And I'm sure, sir, that there were some genuine altruistic type good-hearted purposes to the acquisition, but the bottom line, sir, is that the land was taken. It was not the understanding of the tangata whenua that their land was, that they'd given up rights to it. And indeed, the actions that followed weren't so altruistic, because we saw that 80% of the land that was acquired was subsequently granted to the Crown, and further parts of the land were also disposed of. And so what we're dealing with today, sir, is just a small remnant, a very small remnant of the original land blocks. Prime real estate, right in the heart of Tauranga. As I understand it, it's as you drive around sort of like the waterfront by the Seabill Suites. I think it's on that sort of drive. Anyway, it's a beautiful piece of land, and this is just a wonderful opportunity to speak on this bill in recognition that that land is returning back to the original owners. Now, sir, we heard as the committee submissions from Ngai Tūkairangi in terms of their inclusion in the bill, and I'm pleased that the Otamataha Trust were able to amend the trust deed so that their ancestral hapu were also included, and so that they could all link up to the Otamataha Trust. But by and large, sir, it was a very pleasant process whereby we travelled to Tauranga on a nice balmy summer day, a late summer day, to hear the submitters, largely all in favour, sir, of this legislation. But, sir, I want to pick up on a point that our chair, Matua Tauhenere, mentioned, in that these hapu, sir, are lucky. They are lucky because they are receiving back the lands that were taken from them. But not every hapu around the country has been so lucky, sir. And so there were many other Māori right around the motu who were very generous to the Christian missionaries and with their tribal estates. We're very familiar with the schools that have been set up around the country by the early missionaries, such as Te Aute, St. Stephen's School, where our Kai Tautoko, our sponsor of this bill, Te Ururoa, is an old boy there. These schools were set up to be self-sufficient, and hence there was large tracts of land given for these schools for pastoral, agricultural and educational purposes. But sir, other tribes haven't been so lucky. I'm thinking of a local instance here, sir, where the Ngāti Toa people gave up land. We Parata versus the Bishop of Wellington, 500 acres of that land, sir, was set aside for building of a school. None of that eventuated, and it led to the low point, the absolute low point of treaty jurisprudence and judicial pronouncements in this country, where Judge Prendergast called the treaty a simple nullity. And fortunately, we have moved well on from those dark days, sir. But that's just an example, sir, that there is a long history. I would encourage, I'd like to find out other pieces of land that the Church Mission Society may have in their possession. And if they're willing to offer it back to other hapu around the country, I would encourage them to do so. But sir, this is a great bill. I'm very pleased to tautoko it and to acknowledge our rangatira here in the House today, and I commend it to the House. Kia ora tātou.